Hey, this is Gene. I was just going to talk really quickly about the Euro announcement. And so I was about ready to talk about it. And before I got on here, I saw a tweet from Mark Goldbridge. And for those who don't know, he's got the biggest fan channel for Manchester United, and he has other channels that have a lot of following that just talk about football. And he has his own thing. He talks about culture and everything. The dude has probably 5 million subscribers on YouTube. He's got a lot of influence, especially YouTube and all that stuff. Some of his stuff I'm okay with. But he put a tweet out there saying now that Mason Greenwood has signed with Marseille, or is there any thoughts about this? And I have a lot of thoughts about it because I responded to him many, many times during this whole saga about him and how he treated Mason Greenwood. As a former cop, I thought he was more smart about this. And for me anyway, I guess I got a lot more views because I put his name in the title. But as a man, when I'm going to talk about somebody, I'm going to put their name in the title, and I also send it to them. So it's not. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to sit there talk about somebody's behind their back. I'm going to say this is what I'm responding to what you say as a public figure on YouTube saying stuff, and most of the times I agree with them to a point. But I have a problem with him and how he treated this Mason Greenwood situation from the very beginning, and then how he just basically said nothing for a whole year until we thought Mr. Mason Greenwood was going to be just annexed from the team for everything. It was going to be gone. But that didn't happen. And then we loaned him out, and he did very well. And now a team came in for him, and we're going to sell him. And he wants to understand our thoughts on it. Well, my thoughts is, why at the end did you come out with your idea about what's best for the club and basically saying that he was this bad person when you knew that the club and the Crown had done an investigation that proved that there was more stuff, more evidence there that kind of pointed to the thing that he was innocent of this, that there was probably stuff that they did for themselves that they liked. And he basically said, I'm not going to put her under the bus because he felt guilty about probably screwing around on her. And I think that's what she did. And I said that back then when it all fucking happened, that she probably did this stuff to get back at him because he was stooping some other woman out there. And it just blew up in her face. And then she didn't know what to do. And women, especially that young, they go in the denial thing. I'm not going to admit that I do anything. And he still allowed it because they're back together now. They've been together for this whole year, 2 years since that. Their baby's fine. No other incidents that they've had. And but these guys that have this kind of pull and influence online that will say things that he was this type of thing, and you just see everywhere on internet that he's this bad person. I personally think that Mark Goldbridge has slandered this man when he finally got off the fucking fence and gave us what he actually thought about it. Because he was so infuriated by the sound that he heard from the audio and the pictures that were clearly fabricated to say that this man is a monster. And then all the women's groups in Manchester couldn't deal with the fact that he's going to be there. And the women's team couldn't deal with the fact that Mason Greenwood will be back training around them. It was right there in the reporting. And I talked every time about this. I responded to him. And I said, have you looked at the entire report? It says that there are more stuff here that has not been leaked to the public because they don't want to defame her. Because I think she was behind this at all the time. And he decided to stay with her after all this. Because clearly he has a kid with her. Maybe she loves her. He loves her. And I'm like, at what point as civilized persons did we say, she is now making a decision that she wants to be with this man? You want to defend women and women have all this shit, but then when a woman says, no, I'm going to stay with him because this is what happened. And I said it back then, they should have stood in front of the press and said what happened and said, this is what we do. We do a little thing with sexual games. And, at that point, I wasn't really feeling it, but he didn't rape me. And those pictures I just was upset with him because he did this, and we just move on with our life. Now, I don't care that he's an athlete. I don't give a shit. But I've seen this happen so often with young men that women will do the shit to him, and then feign any type of responsibility in the relationship. Oh, no, no, I never wanted to do that. Oh, no, no, we didn't do that. And I saw it from the very beginning. When I saw it, I'm looking at the pictures and the audio. The audio is damning, but it doesn't mean it. We don't know the entire thing. And the evidence came later on when the Crown and also United looked at that and had the entire audio and found out there's more shit here. Why that was never released to the public? I think it was to protect her, because she's the one who allowed it out. Or it was, if she was maybe she was hacked, because that was her first claim, that she was hacked. You want my thoughts? You slandered this man, and you sat on the fucking bench forever, and then you came out after we thought we got rid of him. That I'm just saying, that's not manly, especially for a guy that was a cop. You know, I don't give a shit who he is, whether he plays for Manchester United or not. I would love him to play for Manchester United. I think the greatest thing would have been for him is his redemption arc to be at Manchester United. And the only way that could ever happen is if they actually sat down and said, this is what happened. But people would still say, well, he's forcing her to say it. I said it in my videos back then that she had all the power after this. She could have been a feminist icon forever. She could have got so much money from all these different publications and stuff to write a book about how toxic athletes are right now. She would have been a heroine for all this shit. So she was never going to lose any money in this deal at all. I think she realized what she had done was wrong. And they decided together they're going to stay together because they have a kid together. They take a mature, responsible viewpoint for the future, and they stayed together. Now, of course, people say, Gene, you never know. He might show up other time and end up a killer or something like that. There's so many stories where guys and women and men have been together for 25 years, 30 years, and all of a sudden, one of them kills each other. We never know. You never know what's inside someone's mind at that time. But I said it back then that when this shit happens, I don't care if you have a video or a picture and audio, when we don't know what's before the audio and what's after the audio to find out. You have to have full context before you to have any decision. And maybe at first, that's how Mark used to think. I'm not going to say anything until I have everything. But we got all this stuff before he went through and said how he really, really thought about Mason Greenwood. It was there. We never got to see it, though. But the team and the Crown said the evidence points that he didn't actually do it. And Manchester United basically said that they believe his account of the version of events. And yet we're going to let him go. But there's so many fucking people still online call him a monster, but they don't know the shit. And it's all fucking there. Why would the Crown come out and say, no, the evidence looked like that it's not exactly what we all think it is? But they kind of did that. And people still believe that Mason Greenwood is this type of person. I don't know. All I'm going to say is that they said the same thing that Manchester United staffs did. And Mark Goldbridge wanted these guys to be fired for the statement they had about this. When they took their dual diligence to look at this evidence for a guy that had been there for 12 years, grew up as a youth team player, and they said they want to do it best as they can to make sure everything there. And they looked at it and said they clearly got the audio and found out there's probably more shit. This is shit that they probably did together. And she just had this over him in case if he strayed again. This is female nature, especially a woman that just is having a baby with him, and he's out looking around. This is what they do. But anyway, I'm going to stop right there. And I'm going to send this to Mark again, and I'm going to put his name in the title as well. Because you want my thought? You've been a dick the entire time to Mason. And you should apologize to him on your channel tonight.